Luciano Pavarotti is unquestionably one of the great lyric tenors in the world today, and will go down in history as a talent and voice that future singers will have to reckon with. A music critic once wrote that his vocal cords had been kissed by God. A few days ago, directly after the final dress rehearsal for this evening's opera, Mr. Pavarotti talked with Bob Jacobson, editor of Opera News, about his role in Ballo and some of his feelings concerning the character he portrays, Riccardo.
Let's talk a little bit about your own experience singing Riccardo. When did you do it for the first time?
I have done for the first time, I think was 1971, something like that, San Francisco, who is the theater where generally I do...
Your tryout theater.
Yes, I try everything there. It was quite an experience. It was a lot of study because I realized even before, during the summertime when I were approaching the final preparation of the opera, then the role was very demanding. For me to be able to sing from the beginning until the end of the act of Ulrica, you have 3 arias, 1 third set, and a lot of phrasing is quite a long thing to do. So and you have to use all the entire color of your voice, all different expression, and more than this, you must have un personaggio molto different
qualities. Yes, exactly. When I saw you standing in that sort of half light, I thought of the word chiaroscuro.
Yeah.
The way it is in this production, and the character is chiaroscuro. It has both the light and the dark, and that makes it even more difficult in many parts.
I think so.
Luciano, you've played this role both as Gustavo in the Swedish version and Riccardo in the Boston version. Is there a big difference when you come to the role, whether you play it as a king, because he is a long tradition of an elegant court, or America, whereas the New World and very plain?
No, I don't think there is much difference. The only things is then being in Sweden, like you know, Gustavo was homosexual, and then he can play a little more with Oscar.
Yes.
But anyway, I think that even in any other production, Oscar is the most confident of Riccardo. The word friend is Oscar, and then I die with Oscar in my hand, like the last, really the last hope before I died, and to die for friend.
Yeah, so you think that's an important key to the character?
I think it's the most important key, and sometimes I saw Oscar very neglected, and instead I think is a very crucial point.
I was wondering when the first time you might have heard or seen Ballo in Maschera, because I remember when I was a youngster going to the Holland Festival, and I had never seen Ballo, and came these one scene after another, and I was absolutely bowled over by it. I never was the same. Did you feel the same way?
Well, I feel the same way. I was disappointed the first time because I went to La Scala to hear my friend Di Stefano, and he did cancel that night. And then I hear another tenor was, besides, quite good. But at the very end, I went home and I thought about the opera. Then I went to Dublin when I began my career, and I saw the opera in 1963 there for the first time. I really mean, I saw all the rehearsals, all the performance. I really went deep in the role, and I said, this is something that one day, probably in the last day of my career, I will do, because it's very heavy stuff, like you say in America. But it came to me earlier than I thought. I don't want to say easier, because easy is a word that don't exist on the stage, but it really did work very well.
Yes. But seeing it became a goal for you. I mean, it's something you really put into the future of your life to sing Ballo.
I think so. If you tell me which opera you want to sing, and you give me just one choice, I will say Ballo, definitely.
Yes.
More than others, is so many change to come out in the phrasing, in the personality, in the acting, in expression, in everything.
Yes.
It's the most complete from I mean, at least in the Verdi opera. Then if you go to Puccini, Of course, I cannot forget Rodolfo because it was my first love. You go to Donizetti, I cannot forget Elixir of Love, and so on. But I mean, this one is very, very close to be my preferred in terms of really absolute.
How does Riccardo relate to some of the other Verdi heroes that you play? I'm thinking of Manrico in Trovatore, or the Duke in Rigoletto, or Rodolfo and Louisa Miller.
Louisa Miller is, you touch a very important point. Louisa Miller, last act of Louisa Miller, for example, is like Otello. Is one of the most heavy part for the tenor. And then this is something who make me think about to do Aida. In fact, I accept. The moment I have made with success Louisa Miller on the stage of San Francisco and then around the world, I say to myself, well, if I do Aida, if I do Louisa Miller, probably I have the voice to do Aida. Well, let's try, and I will tell you the answer, or better, the public and the critic will tell you the answer.
Yes, when is it 81, isn't it?
It's 81 in San Francisco again.
And looking at another Verdi character, I think sometimes Riccardo is thought to be related to the Duke of Mantua and Rigoletto as a character, as a personaggio.
Well, there is some who think that is a little irresponsible,
Yes.
because the only thing I really care very much is the love of that lady. In fact, there is an explosion in the duet in which I say, I don't care. Everything is finished for me. I don't care about friendship. Everything is finished except love. And we fall in the arm of each other. And I am sure if the husband is not arrived, very probably we ended very happy the night.
Yes.
But Verdi make the husband arrive and make me very noble.
Exactly. Well, every time I hear that duet, I think it has to be the most sensual music that Verdi ever wrote.
I think so. For Italian music, I don't think there is any other comparison in any duet. The only comparison I make is in the duet of Tristan. I think is equalized.
Yes, many years later.
Yes. In terms of beauty and
the passionate feelings these people have for one another. Is it
so direct and so
well, sensual? I think that's the only word that I can think of for that duet. Is it easy to get lost in the emotions and forget about the singing sometimes in that duet?
Well, in that duet, I tell you something. This duet is going to finish with the top C, and generally I am one person who think very much about to end the thing in, I mean, not easy, but in acceptable voice. But it's impossible in this duet because the phrasing are so beautiful, then you are really lost, except that very few bars before, when your instinct is telling you then the belt is ringing soon, and then you have to little slow down. But even there, you have not you cannot slow down. You have just to approach the note, technically speaking, and do certain kind of sound a little more brown around in the way that the vocal cord have quite 2 or 3 seconds of rest, and then they can approach the top C in better condition. But he's not a cup of tea.
No.
No.
Have you ever done any unusual productions of it? I remember you told me once you sang in a very unusual production in Hamburg. In
Hamburg was the Mr. Dexter production, and we were soldiers again. We were soldiers at the end of the War of Independence, the Civil War. And I was the blue jacket, and he was the gray jacket. And Oscar was black. Then it was my friend, because being North, I accept him. And he was a little against Renato, who was from South, like historically it was at that time.
That's all the politics.
The politics. Lorido Campo, when the conspirators come in, they were the Ku Klux Klan, and I thought was a very brilliant invention, and everything went at the point. The the last act was incredible, because when you open the last act with the lady dress in that time in New Orleans, you can imagine the big applause.
With the great hoop skirt.
Yes, no, 5 lady take the entire stage, but it was really something very, very intelligent made from Mr. Dexter, and every little detail went to the point, even if it was postponed of many years.
Yes.
I think it was one of the most intelligent productions we have done in this time, and this is in another period, but still is take some idea from that other totally different, because this is made for television and is made more, like we say, more direct, more visually,
Yes.
just the expression of the face and no more.
Exactly. Well, we look forward to your Riccardo, of course. We're on this telecast, and when I was backstage, I found something that I know that Italian singers treasure very greatly.
I don't know about the other. I know about me, and thank you very much. It is really the best present, my dear friend, you can give to me. And they say it's good luck, and I hope it's going to be for me.
Well, your Riccardo deserves at least that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's very well made. It's real, this.